What you're about to hear is raw. These are honest conversations about healing, mental health, and the weight we carry. While we are mental health professionals, this is not a substitute for therapy. The views shared here belong to those speaking, shaped by their stories, not by their institutions. Listen with care. Take what you need.
And I remember my first day seeing this guy who was Asian. I'm like, I'm gonna sit by him.
I
Because
wonder why.
again,
You gotta say why.
I'm ignorant from the country. I'm like, Asians are smart. So I know if I sit by him, I'm gonna have the help I need in this class.
So you've never seen one, but you knew the stereotype.
The stereotype is what I got from media. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Shift to Heal, your favorite podcast with your host here today. I'm your host today, Terry Jenkins Jr., and I have my partner here, Mimi. I'll let her introduce herself. She goes by.
Hey everyone, what's up? Good to be back. My name is Nee, or also known as Mimi, but you haven't earned that privilege yet.
Not yet.
Stay tuned.
Not yet.
Stay tuned.
And today our topic is Asian at home, American everywhere else. And of course, I'm gonna let Mimi kind of start off where she feels safe to kind of start. But Mimi, just kind of tell us, about the topic: Asian at home, American everywhere else.
All right, tune in, my fellow Asian Americans. This topic is pretty important to me. It rings home pretty close. I think growing up with immigrant families and having parents that came over from another country and really trying to assimilate to America has been kind of a tough thing, especially like growing up. I realized in my 20s that I'm kind of like battling with my identity in that aspect because, when you're growing up, you kind of just listen to your parents, you like do everything, the obedience side of it. You just kind of go with the flow, especially with parents that don't speak English, like trying to assimilate, like you're going to school, you speak English, and then you go home and you have to change to another language, and like a lot of language barriers. Even speaking English, sometimes I'm struggling with my words. I'm like, oh my god, what am I saying? And then like thinking in two different languages, really trying to express yourself. So I discovered that after kind of going into the mental health field and like, meeting people that look like me, trying to explore that area and trying to figure out like who am I, like how am I gonna be enough for one side versus the other, and just really exploring that area as I'm like pretty much hitting almost my 30s. So
Understand that. I like that. You talked about thinking in two different languages. What do you mean by that? When you say that?
So I don't know if other people can relate to this, but I definitely do catch myself thinking in Vietnamese. If y'all didn't know, I'm Vietnamese, but yeah. So my parents don't speak English. I primarily talk to them in Vietnamese. A lot of times I'll talk back to them in English because I like to call it my exposure therapy. They gotta learn English, They've been here for like they've been here for 3 decades. I think it's so I call it my own little experiment of exposure therapy. But I find it pretty funny because then I'll say things to them in English and they'll be like, "What are you saying?" I'm like, "You should know these words." Getting back to the case, I do find myself thinking in Vietnamese sometimes, especially because I have to speak to them in Vietnamese for them to really understand like a lot of basic things. Like I'll do a lot of things for them, like paying their bills or like really translating for them. So sometimes I catch myself thinking like things in Vietnamese and like figuring out how to say things to them, but then also thinking in English too because English is my primary language, of course. I did grow up Vietnamese first because my parents don't know any English, so a lot of that really translate into like how I think and like how I'm really trying to like empathize with them, especially when I'm trying to figure out words that I don't know. And a lot of times, my mom does a really great job of like teaching me words, especially when I say things wrong in the wrong context. And so like she'll teach me words, and I'm like, oh, so that's what that means. Even though like in English it translates to like one word, in Vietnamese is like multiple words that could describe things. Mm-hmm. So yeah, there's a lot of times where I'll like think in Vietnamese and then be like, oh, well, how would that translate in English, and vice versa, just to like have that conversation with them because it does get pretty difficult sometimes, especially on like harder things you wouldn't really think about, like politics, medical stuff, tax stuff, especially with tax stuff. Heavy emphasis if you've done your parents' tax. as an American family. So if y'all know, y'all know. But yeah.
I got a question for you.
What's up?
Real quick, let me give an education first because I had to learn myself.
Yeah.
It's first gen, second gen, third gen. Every gen after that, we don't really talk about.
Mm-hmm.
First gen is if you come from another country we'll just talk about America. That's first generation immigrant. Second generation is if you're the child of the first generation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then third gen is you're the child of the second gen, and then it stops there.
Mm-hmm.
What generation are you?
Okay, so from that aspect, when we talked about it, I would technically be second generation.
Okay.
But growing up, everyone that I've always talked to, we always call ourselves first gen because we're the first gen of Americans in
Born?
that aspect. Yeah, American borns in that aspect. So that was actually really confusing when you brought it up because I always called myself first gen because I'm the first generation of my family being born in America. But from that context, I technically be second gen.
Okay, so that's the American context that I just gave you. But
Right.
you just hit me and said we. So are you telling me when you was growing up, you and people you grew up around, y'all were calling yourself first gen? That was a conversation between y'all.
Yeah.
Okay, that's two different cultural perspectives. Talk about that.
Yeah. So in the first gen aspect, as an American, we always talk about our education, like, oh, we're the first group to go to college, we got our degree, we got like an education because if y'all know, in Vietnam you have to like pretty much pay for your education a lot, and it's not uncommon for a lot of people to kind of drop out, like having an elementary education, like if you were a little bit on the wealthier
you're
side.
talking about like middle school, high school education?
Yeah.
I thought you still.
This is you're pretty well off if you're going to college. So yeah, a lot of people are in the older generation really stop having like a formal education at like second or third grade. So there's a lot of education gap there. So that's why we really do pride ourselves being first generation Americans because we get to have all that for free, and it's like things we take for granted, right? So we get to have the education, we get to go to college, we get to experience a lot of things that our parents didn't get to do because they were like a white collar type of job or like manual labor or whatever. So it's a lot of things that go into that conversation.
That's very interesting because I never.
You didn't know that?
Never knew.
No. That's crazy. These are like conversations I have with my friends all the time, and not just like Vietnamese and like Asian Americans, like Hispanics, and so now y'all know.
We never thought about that. You also talked about kind of transitioning from going to school where you spoke, predominantly English, and then kind of having, I guess, the transition to speaking another language when you're going home. Is that transition kind of seamlessly done, or is it tough when you're starting off? Like, just talk about that.
Yeah. I mean, I think when I was younger, it was a little bit harder, but now I've been really working on my second language, so I feel like it's a lot better. I do still speak back in English because I want to be petty sometimes, but no, I think it's pretty seamless in that aspect. There are words that I do trip over, like the hard words, like I said, tax, politics, medical stuff, things that I didn't really learn because you're not exposed to that at like a young age. Like you don't talk about just medical stuff or like any of that thing. So yeah, but I think it's pretty seamless in that aspect, at least for me. Fun fact, when I was in elementary school, I don't know if they thought I didn't know English or whatever, but I was put in ESL to like 4th grade. And then when I finally, like, they gave you a test, I got like 100 on the test. So they were like, shit out me. It's crazy because I was like the only Asian kid in my like predominantly like Hispanic classroom and sitting there taking this English test, and I was like, I speak English.
Was it because you were quiet or what?
Well, maybe they would like literally pull me out. And maybe some of it was like mixed in with gifted and talented because I was in that program too. But I was also
humble brag, talk that talk.
Yeah, what's up? But yeah, I don't know. They put me in ESL to like 4th grade, and I was just in there like, I don't know, just chilling.
Alright, okay. So we got to talk about being perfect.
Oh God.
School is paid for in Vietnam. That's what you just said, right?
You technically do pay. It might be different now, so. But yeah, back then my parents always told me there was something like you usually pay for. System could be a lot different. There's a lot context that goes behind that.
Okay, so stereotypically,
Yeah.
right? When people think about Asians, again, stereotypically, we think of smart people. We think about no nonsense. You gotta be a doctor. You gotta be a lawyer, tax, something. Right? You have to be perfect.
Perfect.
Is
Indeed.
that true?
That is. It's an unspoken perfect, but yeah, at least in my aspect, for sure. A lot of Asian kids that I've always known or talked to, and even some of my really close friends, we've all had that conversation of being perfect for our parents, even though they didn't know what perfect was, or like how to teach us how to be perfect. It's just an unspoken. You have to do this. Like you have to be a doctor. You have to be a lawyer. You have to be an engineer and be perfect. So yeah, I had a lot of that growing up too. Like I was so set being on a doctor, and then I hit them with I'm gonna be a counselor, and look where we're at. Now they're throwing mental health in each other's faces, which I love. So they're aware. I think it just takes some time to like really understand. Like not every kid can be a doctor or an engineer or whatever.
Do you feel like that pressure comes from, or they kind of put that pressure on you guys because you are considered, first generation Americans? They kind of like, want you guys to help your children start out on a better foot than you kind of started out on.
Honestly, yeah, I do think so. I think a big part of it is that like the war mentality, and also like paying, like being paycheck to paycheck, so like really having like a stable life. Like they gave up so much for us to be here, so we have to take advantage of whatever it is, and just doesn't matter what it is that we're going through. It's just you have to do it because you have to do it, and it's just like that is it. Like you cannot have no remove. You can't have a gap year. You can't do nonsense stuff. You can't really discover yourself. Like you have to be set in and locked in, and that's it. And yeah.
Did you get kind of the same pressure from other Americans? For example, I come from Pine Bluff, Arkansas. Graduated high school from Monticello High School, which is even countryer than Pine Bluff. And what all that to say is, when I first got to college, that was my first face-to-face experience with someone who was Asian. Until from 1 to 18, I never saw someone in real life, face-to-face, an Asian person. Where I went to high school, there was no Hispanic. It was only black and white. I knew Hispanic people at the corner stores. I knew, Arabs at the corner stores, but I never interacted with anyone from the Asian community. And so I remember my sophomore year, I played soccer. So we had two guys from Japan. And they were Sugarus, amazing soccer player. But that's beside the point. But I had a class, right? And our class was probably like 700 people in biology. It was a big theater room. Everybody came in. You had to like fight for a spot, and if you didn't get there early enough, you had to sit on the floor. Huge room, right? And I remember my first day seeing this guy who was Asian. I'm like, I'm gonna sit by him.
You gotta say why.
I'm ignorant from the country. I'm like, Asians are smart, so I know if I sit by him, I'm gonna have the help I need in this class.
So you've never seen one, but you knew the stereotype.
The stereotype is what I got from media. Being honest, is what I got from growing up. They can fight, and they're smart. That's the smart.
Oh, the fighting. Okay.
Yeah, because my dad was into karate films. I'm talking about any karate film you can name. He was into it, and so I sat by him, and that was the purpose, right? It ended up being the other way around. He ended up cheating off of me. Dropped the
Really? You didn't watch it like Zach and Cody.
Yeah, he cheated off me the entire semester.
And you let him?
Oh yeah, I mean yeah.
He was my
homeboy. Like that was my first.
Y'all was tight after
that.
that.
That was my first this is my first experience. You know what I'm saying? So we talking and we communicate. Then I find out bro, really just like me. We the same person, yeah. So we became super cool. So he needed help on, this assignment. I helped him. He maybe once or twice was able to help me. But yeah, so just kind of talk did you have that type of experience growing up or?
Thinking back, I don't think I really did because I did grow up with a lot of Asians.
Okay.
So we were all kind of in the same boat. We were all fighting for that number one spot.
Okay,
But
cool.
I don't think I really did. I think I'm pretty blessed in the sense where Houston is pretty diverse.
Oh yeah, extremely.
So I didn't really encounter like racism or like
Yeah.
that type of stereotype. I mean, maybe in like the recent years, I've stumbled upon like ignorant teenagers that would like giggle and laugh or whatever, but nothing that I took too personal. I don't think.
Yeah.
Maybe like one instance when I was in elementary, but we were kids, so I give grace to that. But yeah, I don't think I've really had that type of encounter, especially in this area, because it's pretty Vietnamese populated. So yeah, I think I was pretty blessed in that aspect.
And again, like I said, coming from where I come from, that was like college was a huge transition. But then, of course, moving to Houston from Arkansas was even a bigger transition because I'm here and it's so diverse, and Arkansas is probably one of the least diverse places here in the United States.
Bumpkin out here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So, and then also, could you kind of speak to how, I don't know, how do you view the American culture yourself as far as, being kind of a first gen type of Asian American? How do you view the
How do
American
you
culture?
blend the two like that?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I think, like I said, the Houston area is very diverse. I never really had trouble blending in. But I feel like, in my parents' perspective, America is still kind of like a scary place. I think it's just what they see in media. And it's like very big to them because, like, in Vietnam, like you can walk around and like, it's like more so city like, but we live in the suburbs, right? So it's like you gotta drive everywhere. But I think they probably have the most like a harder time assimilating because they just don't want to let go of their roots. Because like, of course, you would think people coming to America, you kind of just assimilate and just like follow whatever the culture is. But I think they just had a hard time coping with that, and so like for them it's very important at home we like speak Vietnamese to each other, like we follow our culture, we celebrate our things. But I think in the last few years they've grown more accustomed to like me being out there and just like doing what I'm doing, so they kind of like learn from that. And then obviously my mom, very typical, but she does nails and she like encounters a lot of different cultures, so she's learning through them too. And then she'll come home and be like, I learned this about this and that, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, yeah, you're learning a lot of good stuff. And like she's she's pretty good with learning English too, so she's kind of picking it up. Like I said, my exposure therapy, it might work. You never know. But yeah, so I think because after I graduated college and everything, and I just kind of started doing my own thing, because up until then I was always very obedient to my parents and try to like, be well to them because I knew what they gave up in order to give me what I had.
Yeah.
So I say all that to say I think they're more open-minded now because I'm more empathetic towards them and like their experience. Because honestly, like if I was 20 years old and gave up my entire life to go to a different country where I knew nothing about, like would I have done that? Like
Right.
so it's a lot of perspectives that I put into it. So I've learned to be very empathetic towards them, and like sometimes I do get upset or whatever, but those are things we're working through. I'm not perfect, but yeah, but just trying to like incorporate what I know about the American culture and like bringing it to them, and like, hey, you shouldn't say these things about these topics, or like this is what I'm experiencing, this is probably like hard for you to understand, but just kind of bringing it to them in like certain aspects. And like knowing Vietnamese really helps with that aspect too. And like media plays a big part of what they see because the algorithm is very specific. So trying to break them out from their like views and certain things. But yeah,
because and then I kind of get back to my question, but when I was put on my soccer team, again, extremely diverse.
Mm-hmm.
There was only 2 Americans on our team.
No, that's interesting.
That was it. Everyone else was from Saudi Arabia. They were from the Middle East. They were Asian. Then we had 2 guys from Spain, and so completely, melting pot. And I remember like the first 2-3 months of practice, it seemed like everyone was scared to interact with me.
With each other?
No, with
or
me.
Just with you?
With me. It's kind of like they.
Well, hold on, pause. Because everybody that's watching this podcast is asking the same thing I'm about to ask. You black, bro.
Yeah.
Are you mixed with anything?
Oh,
like,
no.
Are you Jamaican?
No. Black country black.
Look, I'm doing air quotes. American black, right?
Yeah, American black.
What are you doing playing soccer, bro?
If y'all try to make it quick, I was country, so I was born on my grandparents' kitchen floor, right?
Beautiful.
Yeah. And long story short, my birth was weird, kitchen floor weird, but also I didn't come out head first. I came out feet first. I came out the wrong way. Yeah. And so long story short, I had a birth defect on my feet. My feet were flat-footed. They went out like this, but I love sports. Love basketball, love football. I was good. But anytime I would play a sport, my feet would be like in excruciating pain. So long story short, speeding through it, I had to have surgery on both of my feet. And so to get back into football shape, I was like, I'm gonna play soccer.
Wow.
And fell in love with it. Literally fell in love with it. It was the first sport that I played that I felt like I was way better than everybody else.
Gas yourself.
I played basketball, played football, ran track. I always felt like I was good, but I never felt like it was that much of a gap. When I played soccer, it was a gap. And it was a gap that everybody could see.
Okay. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
So then we fast forward to college.
Yeah.
You're on a team with a bunch of international students.
Mm-hmm.
They're afraid. You feel like they're afraid.
I feel like they went. It was like I would go up to them to speak, and they would shy away. And of course, as the season progressed, they got to know who I was. And finally, we had the conversation, and it was with my friend Ibrahim. And he was like, before he came over from the Middle East, of course, he tried to study the American culture. Everything he seen about black men, where they were gangsters, they were angry, they they don't play. You don't get on their bad side because they'll kill you or they'll beat you up or they'll rob us. And when he said that, literally everybody on the team kind of was like, yeah, that's what we saw. As we got on YouTube and we learned about black culture, and it was like, be careful interacting with black men. And I don't know if I could say what he said on camera, but Ibrahim was like, but Terry, you're a cool nigga. Like you're way different than what we saw. And I was like, well, what did you see? And so he started showing me the videos, and a lot of them were rap videos or movies and this guns and violence. And so they took from what they saw on the media about me and projected it onto me without really getting to know me. And so I say all that to say, how do you feel like the media portrays the Asian community? How do you feel about that?
Wait. I want you to answer that, but the second question to that is Asian community and then the Vietnamese community.
Ooh.
Two different worlds.
Yeah.
It is two different worlds. I think, like y'all said earlier, they portray us as like very meek, very quiet. We don't fight back. Very smart people, very accomplished people. I think that's like the typical aspects for all Asians. And so like, we get punked, we get taken advantage of, but it reminds me of this video that I saw of this guy who's running a liquor store, and I think he's in Houston. If y'all know what video I'm talking about, y'all could put it in the comments. But basically, like, some people try to rob his store, and he came out with like the most southern accents, like, I'm gonna beat your ass. And it's like, you don't expect that, so you just expect us to be like oppressed all the time. And so I think that's kind of like the view. And then the whole COVID thing really didn't help either, because it's like another resurgence of like kind of like that
Asian hate.
Yeah, the Asian hate and all that. So I mean, it sucks, but you can't really fight what people see on the media. And bringing it back to what you said, I think a lot of Asians that came from Asia also kind of have that perspective on other race and ethnicities too. Like, that's what they see on the media, so that's what they kind of think about it. But it's like, you haven't interacted with that culture, so you don't know like their nuances, and like everyone is different. So yeah, that's kind of like how it's been for me growing up, at least. But
And awesome, and you're right. Everyone is different. That's why you can't assume,
yes.
and you have to actually try to get to know a person. And because, like I said, I can't think of his name. I'm probably going to remember when I leave here. But once I got to know him, it was like, bro, me and you the same. We both college dudes trying to make a good grade. We both trying to pass Dr. Barnes' class. Like, yeah.
Same people, different font. I heavily
Yeah.
agree with that. Justice.
Talk to me nice.
All right. I'll try. How has it been for you to have your first Asian person at all this week counseling?
An absolute honor.
Why, thank you.
You coming up, first of all, you giving me an opportunity to be like, yo, you cool with being my supervisor? Because you asked, you didn't say like, hey, I'm looking for a supervisor, let's go, let's do it. It was very much like, are you comfortable with it? You asked me if I was comfortable, I was like,
Because at the time it was only you and Jonathan, so I was like, how are we gonna make this work?
I appreciate you not doing the racist thing and taking an opportunity, because I feel like me and you would have missed a phenomenal moment, because again, I grew up around Asian. That's a thing for me. My grandfather, he's gone now. I don't think he cares if I put this out there. I'm sure he has Vietnamese children out there, because he was he was in the Vietnamese war, and he told me, he was like, hey, you might have some uncles, you know what I mean? So the fact that you came, right, and one being Asian, I'm like, okay, I come from that world, there's no problem, right? But then when you was like, I'm Vietnamese, I'm like, yo, because I don't think you know this, I hold Vietnamese people in such a high regard. This is gonna get me canceled. Nah, seriously.
You're always trying to get canceled.
No, seriously, what I'm about to say is crazy. Because y'all beat America's ass. Seriously, like
no, like for y'all who don't know history, it's the only war that never ended.
Right. Like, and y'all didn't have weapons of mass destruction. It wasn't like technology. Yeah. It was straight up, I know my land. You got me fucked up. If you think you coming in here, we gonna beat your ass. And y'all did. Ever since I learned about that in history, I was like, bro, Vietnamese people.
Yeah,
bro,
we got
like,
the strongest women out there too.
That's the other part too. Women was like, and I'm just like, bro, Vietnamese people are so cold. So when you told me you was Vietnamese, I was like, we gotta do this. We gotta do it. So like, to answer your question, it's an absolute honor. Like, and I'm one of those people that feel like Asian and Black community, there really is no difference. It's just a slight difference in the way we do things, but we both eat rice, we eat it fried, we eat it steamed, we do the same thing. And if you look back on the history, but again, I'm gonna get canceled, I don't care. It's a facts. Asians are Black people. Black people are in the Asian, like, we are the same people. We just look different over time because of the sun and all this other extra stuff. So if you really sit down, we do some of the same stuff. Now, media, like you were talking about, right, has pitted us against each other. Right. But again, historically, if you just look over time, we be in camaraderie anyway. Mimi, this was destiny. Truly speaking.
I feel that way too.
Talk to me too.
Facts. The first, again, this is why history is important. I hate when people say they don't like history. The first people to ever trade with Africa was Asian people. We had an agreement. They were the first people to come over into Egypt. So the man's talking facts. Know your history. Right. But again, growing up where I'm from, media does play a part. You don't really get that education. You don't really see that. You given one thing on the TV screen, so you assume. Then you go meet somebody, you're kind of nervous, like I don't know how to interact, what if they don't like me, what. Then you finally start talking, being around them every single day. It's like, man, we're both, at the end of the day, in this concept, we're both American. We're both here trying to excel and succeed in this country with boundaries that, not being white, all of us gonna have to face. Hoops that we all have to jump through, just to be successful. So, So how do you reconcile with not feeling like a foreigner to both cultures, both the American culture and the Vietnamese culture?
I think that is something that I keep learning every single day, and it's one of those things where you just keep putting yourself out there and just kind of seeing what people are attracted to you and your energy. And I think there's no perfect answer for that, because how can I really be just Vietnamese, or how can I really just be American? So I think that's like the true beauty of being Vietnamese American, especially because I get to have both sides of both worlds, right? And neither of them are gonna be perfect. Like each of them will have their pros and their cons, culturally and all those nuances. But I think just being yourself and like embracing what you have and being thankful for the life that you get to live is kind of where it is.
Yeah.
If that even makes sense, right?
No, it makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's just kind of how I've been looking at life, and like just moving in that aspect, like not really trying to find like a perfect balance, but just being who I am and like receiving and just living life.
Yeah. And I understand that, and it is just being you.
Yeah.
Because again, I'm clearly black, but it's kind of like I grew up in a culture where a lot of people, like you said, like, what you doing playing soccer?
Yeah, back.
Like, why are you playing soccer? I was that kid listening to Linkin Park and yeah, like I went through that phase. So I had a lot of people like, bro, why you wearing Vans? Like, what you doing with Ed Hardy? Like, why you like this, bro? So I understand that, because you have to balance, of course, being black, but then also being yourself,
Right.
just being you. I know. I'm sorry, bro. I mean, I tried basketball.
It is.
I'm 6'2", but I never was running and dunking on people like that. I'm sorry, it's just for me. I tried football. I got ran over twice and knew it wasn't for me. Michael Dyer, if you out there, you watching this, bro, thank you. You changed my life. You let me know that was not for me.
I don't want to get trampled over no more.
Oh yeah, no. I knew then. The first time I got ran over, I was like, yeah, I don't think this. Well, I told my dad out, because my dad he played football, strong safety. I told him, I was like, Dad, it ain't for me. It's just not. You was at the game. You watched me get ran over twice. Yeah.
Oh, this happened in game?
Oh, yeah. Oh, in game. I didn't want to give a full story, but listen. This is, I'm a sophomore.
Did he beat your ass afterwards, though?
Oh, no. My dad's not like that. Nah, my dad, he not like that. But I'm a sophomore in high school. We getting destroyed. I mean, we're getting blown out. And
Y'all are just you.
Yeah, so coach.
We're laughing in solidarity, not at you.
No, we getting killed.
Together.
And that's when you're getting blown out. Normally you put in, the sophomores and the freshmen. Normally they get in the game. And so when coach called me up, he's like, "Hey, Terry, get in there." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." So everybody in Arkansas knows who Michael Dyer is. Like, he's a legend. Everybody knows, like, bro, is probably going to the league, right? And so we get in, and I'm like, it's cool, because he's going to be out the game, right? Like, they're up 35 to, I think, 3. So he should be out the game. It's the fourth quarter. He shouldn't be in. I get back there at safety. Only one back there, right? And I look in the backfield, and I'm like, bro, he's still in the game. Why? Like, we got in our backups. Why is he still in the game? And I'll never forget, they hiked the ball, and it was just like a hole just opened up. He just ran straight through. And it literally, for like 20 yards, it just seemed like it was only me and him. And I'm just like this, like, I'm just standing still. And I'm like, bro, just go around me, juke me, do something. He running right at me. And I'm like, then he just ran over me, and I can hear, on impact, I can hear, ooh. It's like the whole crowd, like the whole stadium. Ooh. And I'm like, I'm on the ground, and then I turn around, and he just, he scored. And I'm like, bro, yeah. What makes it worse is, it happened again. Like, it happened
You didn't learn the first time to move?
No, it happened again the exact same. It happened again the exact same way. We come back. I'm thinking, Coach Terry, get back out there. I'm like, okay, can't be that bad. He ain't gonna be in the game, right? He's still in there. For some reason, I don't know if he was just running up the stats. He's still in there. Same thing. They're giving the ball. I'm not the only sophomore in there. It's sophomore linemen, linebackers, everybody. We're all sophomores. Like, this is an experience for us. So again, the same thing happened.
Sure it was.
Hole opened up, and it's just me and him. And the second time, I'm like, bro, please avoid me. Like, I'm not even trying to tackle him. And I even backpedaled a little bit, like, you know, like.
You didn't backpedal enough.
He ran straight to me again. And the same thing. Ooh. So, yeah, bro. Michael Dyer, you changed my life. You let me know football was not for me. Because I was done after that. Yeah.
Shout out to Michael.
I never came back. Matter of fact, the next day I went to practice, I turned in my equipment. I was like, yeah.
I quit, coach.
You saw, everybody saw. And,
Y'all got videos?
yeah.
He helps you be yourself though.
Yeah. But you gotta be yourself. And that, again, I was playing soccer, so I already knew in soccer I was Michael Dyer. You know what I'm saying? But in football, I am not. So I was like, I'm just gonna stick to soccer, bro. Listen, I'm good at this. Yeah, yeah.
We're changing your name now.
Yo,
Give
take
you a
us
new
home,
just-
bro. We ended this episode.
Let's go forward.
But no, man, it's been fun. Thank you guys for tuning in to Shift the Hill. Again, I'm Terry Jenkins Jr.
I'm Mimi.
Thank you guys.